Hey guys, it's Kaz here, and today I'm going to be doing my March wrap up. So in March, I didn't do very well on my physical TBR. I only read 3 things off my physical TBR, and one of them I actually bought in March as well. But I did read a bunch of stuff that was mostly good. So yeah. I didn't make my TBR anymore from what I remember, because there's a page in my journal where I marked down like how many I read, how many I buy and all that sort of stuff. So it didn't go up, but it didn't go down very much. Or at all. But yeah, let's just dive into the books that I read in March. A lot of them e-bookery, but they were all good from what I remember. We'll see. So the first thing I read in March was the one that I also bought in March. Well, I pre-ordered it. It was Aurora, All My Demons Greeted Me As a Friend. This is a book that goes with Aurora's album of the same name. 10-year anniversary, she released this book. And I really enjoyed it. It's just, if you saw my haul video, my last video, you would have seen me go through this a little bit. Well, basically it's loads of, there's writing in here, there's all the lyrics to all the songs, there's pictures, whether that's pictures creating the album or going places, or there's also like storyboards from the videos and stuff. So there's a lot of interesting and fun and cool stuff in here. My absolute favourite page, let me try and find it, is this one. Now it might just look like a random page of writing, and you'll be correct in thinking that, but basically, if you know Aurora, you'll probably know she has a song called Runaway, and this is the lyrics for Runaway that she wrote, but they're different because it's obviously when she was first writing the song, and it's just so interesting to see the different ways that her mind went through. There's like certain lines in here that are similar to the actual song, but they're different. There's like whole verses that didn't make it to the actual song, and I just find that so interesting, especially when, as I was reading it, I was singing along the way it would sound in my head if it was the actual lyrics. And yeah, that's my absolute favourite page. But just in general, this is really good. I really enjoyed all the little tidbits of information that she puts in here. Like I say, the pictures, the songs, even stuff like live pictures. Here's a live picture. Obviously more pages of journals and stuff. So if you like Aurora, it's definitely an interesting book to have and to read and to look through. I also find it interesting how she writes in English so much, because Aurora is Norwegian and obviously her songs are in English, but there's other musings and stuff from notepads that are also written in English. There's certain like little bits that are written in Norwegian. But yeah, I find that quite interesting as well, how a lot of the time she's writing her thoughts and feelings in English. So yeah, very much enjoyed this. It was a good time. I'm glad I got it. So after that, the next 2 books I borrowed from my library app. So the first one was One Day Everyone Will Have Always Been Against This by Omar El Akkad. This is a book, it's basically splicing 2 things. On one hand, it's like about his life, about him having to move from his country and going and staying in Canada and America and stuff and being an immigrant, but also on the other hand it's about Palestine and what's happening in Palestine and how they're being treated and stuff. So it's a mixture of the 2 things. I think that was a little bit of the downfall for me. I say downfall, I still enjoyed it. I think I gave it 3.5 stars. So I felt on the surface when I first got this book, I thought it was going to be like 5 stars, really impactful, like really thought-provoking, and it is all those things, but I just think the mixture of both of those things together made the points a bit less impactful. I would have liked it if, or maybe just the way it was written, maybe if the first half, because he was taking stuff that he's gone through in his own life and then also talking about stuff in Palestine, and I just feel like Palestine should have been more of an important bit in the book. I feel like it was a little bit on the wayside of him talking about himself, which is fine. He's not Palestinian. I believe he was from, I might be wrong about this because I can't 100% remember, but I think he was from Egypt. I know if I'm wrong, I'm very much sorry about that, and I will write it here in the comments, but I think that's where he's from. And then obviously like unrest there, having to move when he was quite young, going to Canada, etc., becoming a journalist. But yeah, I just feel like Palestine should have been more at the full focus of the book. I also feel a little bit, and obviously this is no fault for the authors because they didn't know how it was going to go, but I also felt like it was a little bit, it came out too soon, because obviously the book came out, but like it was written a year before it came out or something, so so much has happened in that time, and I feel like so much is not touched upon in this book because it hadn't happened yet when it was written. I just feel like it was almost too early to talk about this situation, because like so much important stuff has happened since then that should be in the book, but it isn't because it happened after it was written. So I think that's a little bit of like a downfall in a sense. Obviously it's good that the author wrote this book and wanted to get it out there and wanted people to see it and see what was happening, but yeah, it's a really weird, because the history it's not even history yet because it's still happening, it's still actively happening. It just feels like a very weird period of time for this book to be released in, because I was reading stuff and like as I was reading it I knew what happened next. Like I know what's already happened, I know how they've been treated even worse, I know how Americans like fucking up the world even more. So it just feels like there's like loads of different layers that are not mentioned in the book, which obviously it happened after it was written so it can't be mentioned in the book. But I just feel like because of that it didn't hit as hard as the book should have done, because there's so much more that it needs to go into, because yeah, it's still happening. Israel and America are just like, hey, let's just fuck up the whole world, that'll be fun. So yeah, it's a weird one. Obviously I did think it was very moving, it was very important. If you don't know much about this topic then definitely read it. I do think people that do know about this topic probably won't get much out of this book in a sense that they would already know stuff. They'd know even more than what's written in this book because of what's happened since. But on the flip side, I feel like the people that do need to read this book are probably wouldn't, because they're already like pro-Israel and would think that reading this book there's no point because they don't believe it. So it's a really weird like middle ground of where this is. So yeah, I think it's an important book. It's talking about important things, but it's almost was released too soon because so much more needs to be talked about. So yeah, that's my thoughts on this book. Strange sort of middle ground, but yeah, it's definitely an important book though, so read it if you haven't already. And then after that, in a totally different vein, I read Heated Rivalry by Rachel Reed. So I watched the TV series twice now actually. So I thought, you know what, I'm gonna read the source material because I am that guy, I do read books, so like it would be weird to not read the source material. But I read somewhere somebody say this and I agree. I think watching the TV series first and then reading the book is actually a good move, because the book is told like in the heads of the characters as well as out loud. I feel like it like gives you extra little nuances and bits to what they were thinking when certain things were happening. So I actually really liked the way that it, like, I watched it and then read it, because I think it mixed together well. I feel like if I just read this I wouldn't have enjoyed it as much, but because I already had these characters in my head, because the actors had done such a good job of portraying these characters, because the TV series has been made so well, it made me like the book more. Because I feel like the first chapter is like a not a prequel, but like the opposite of that. It's 6 years into this thing, there's a chapter, like the start of it is like 6 years into this, and then the next chapter starts from the beginning. And when I first read that I thought I wasn't going to like the book because it just felt so out of place, and also because the way the characters were thinking, they were like, oh yeah, I'm doing this, I'm really like feel guilty and embarrassed to even like the guy or whatever, even though I know that reading the book they have feelings for each other before then, but the pretty little bit feels so out of place because it makes it feel like they don't actually care about each other 6 years in, but like they clearly do. When you're actually reading the book and you get to that point, they do care, even if they're trying to hide it. So yeah, when I first read the first chapter I thought I wasn't gonna like it, but I actually did like it. It is very much, it's a smutty book, like there is a lot of sex in it, as the TV series also has it, but there is a lot of like the internal monologues and stuff, getting the point of view from both of the characters. And yeah, I'm glad I watched the TV series first though, because I feel like it gave me that sort of backbone already to put these characters onto the actors and be like, yes, this makes sense. So yeah, I don't know if I would have enjoyed it as much if I just read it. I also do know that I'm not going to read the next book because I want to watch the TV series first. I don't want spoilers for the TV series, so I'm not going to read the sequel to it. But it was a fun time and I'm glad I did read it because I did enjoy it. and it's good to see sort of where these characters started from. One of the best things about it is that so many of the words that are in the show are taken like word for word from the book, so I think that was really good. It's been adapted so well, because so many of the conversations I'm like, I've heard this conversation word for word on the TV show. So yeah, love that for the people that adapted it, because there's nothing worse than watching an adaptation of a book and being like, this doesn't feel like the book. But this is literally the book, because word for word it is the book in a lot of it. So kudos to the creators of the Heated Rivalry TV show. Yes. Where are we? Are we halfway through? I don't know, but here's a cat and then I'll talk about some more books. So next up, I have 3 things I'm just going to talk about all together because it's all from the same series. So I reread the first volume of Fables, which I first read many years ago, so I literally couldn't remember what was going on in it. And then that's number 3. I read number 2 and number 3. So I've read the first 3 volumes of Fables. This one I really enjoyed. I knew I really enjoyed it because I remember giving this one like 4 stars, so I knew I enjoyed it. It just took me so long to actually carry the series on. So this is set in a space in New York where all these characters are living, but all of these characters are from all of the weird and magical worlds where fables exist, and then some evil creatures came and destroyed all them worlds, so they had to come to New York and set up shop there, but also stay in secret because they don't need the humans knowing that they exist. So in here we've got Snow White, who is like the head counsellor of the town. We have the Big Bad Wolf, who is the detective. We have loads of different characters making little appearances. Appearances is not how you say words. Appearances in here. So at one point you've got like Belle and the Beast talking to Snow White. Quite fun, because they're talking about whenever Belle is feeling annoyed with Beast, his beastliness starts coming through again. So he's there with a human face and he's got his fangs coming through. He's like, it's not my fault, I can't help it. When she doesn't like me, I turn into a beast again. So it's just fun little things like that. The first volume I will talk about because that's the first volume. Obviously I don't want to get into too much other stuff. First of all, I will show you the artwork now. So this is what it looks like. But the first volume is like a bit of a mystery for the detective Wolf to solve. So he goes into an apartment and there's just blood everywhere and they're trying to figure out what's going on. They can't find the body, they don't know what's going on, what's happening. And yeah, as we go on, we follow these characters, new things develop. I don't want to go into too much spoilers, but yeah, different new people, like Goldilocks turns up, and then we've got Little Boy Blue who's there. We've got the 3 pigs who make even more of an appearance in the second volume, which is called Animal Farm. So that's in a place, all the human-y people live in a place in New York. All the ones that can't get away with looking like humans live on a farm out of the way of the humans. So yeah, very much enjoying this series. It's quite a long one as well. I think there's over 20 volumes of this, so yeah. I need to get volume 4 because I have 5 and 6, I think, because I buy them when I find them cheap. So definitely been keeping my eye out for volume 4 because I really want to carry this series on. I also reread How to Be a Normal Person by TJ Klune. This was, I believe, the first TJ Klune book that I ever read. I read it on my Kindle. I got the physical copy for Christmas and I was like, you know what, I'm going to reread that. So I did. This is a little contemporary whimsical book about Gus, who is just really grumpy and doesn't like people and has his very own set ways of doing stuff. And then he meets this hipster asexual guy and he's like, I really kind of like this guy even though he's really annoying and hipsters are my days. So he goes on the internet and tries to figure out how to be a normal person. And you know what the internet's like for telling you what to do. So yeah, this was a reread. It was fun, it was whimsical, it was silly. It was kind of interesting to read this after I've now read some of TJ Klune's like officially released, that's not how you say it, published books from proper publishers rather than self-publishing. I can't think of the right words right now, but you know what I mean. So it's interesting to see like where he's from, where he's been to, because he's always got these whimsical, fun characters that are also a bit grumpy, but it's really cool to see how far he's come in creating those characters. Obviously, a lot of his more recent published work has like a fantastical twist to it as well, whereas this one is set in reality. But yeah, I enjoyed it and I'm glad I reread this book. So next up I read Ushers, which is a short story by Joe Hill. This I've had on my Kindle for quite a few years, to be fair. I think it was on the Prime reading thing where you got the free book. But anyway, one of the prompts in the Spring Reading Challenge, which What Victoria Read has created, which is going on for 3 months, one of the challenges I believe was the shortest book on your TBR. And I was looking at my physical TBR and then I was like, wait a minute, let me look on my Kindle app and see what I've got on there. And this one was short, so I chose it. I will make a full video at the end of this challenge to say what all of these books were for each of the challenge things, but I thought I'd just throw that one in, which is the reason why I picked up Ushers. It's been on my Kindle for ages. I read it. This is a short story and it's about these detectives interviewing a guy who managed to not get on a train and then the train crashed. And they're like, this is dodgy. Did he know it was going to crash? Has he had some sort of forewarning? Does he have anything to do with it? And then it goes in a little bit of a paranormal route, let's just say. And yeah, I enjoyed this one. I did think when it first started reading, because I couldn't remember what the premise was about, I was like, bro, what is going on? There's just detective talking to this dude. I thought this was meant to be like creepy or weird or different. But then it went there and I was like, oh okay, cool. I enjoy this. I like it. It's a very short read, but I enjoyed it, and I'm glad that this random prompt made me pick it up, because I have so many things, especially on my Kindle, because it's easy to just download stuff that's for free, that I just forget exists and then just don't read them. So yeah, this made me pick one of those things up and I enjoyed it. Bonus. And then last but not least, another thing that I read online. You see, this is what I mean. I didn't read very many physical books this month, but I picked up the Someone is Killing the Children omnibus number 2. So last month I read The War, which is from Boom Studios. This month I read Someone is Killing the Children omnibus number 2, which I managed to read for free from Boom Studios ARCs that they send out the emails for. This one, I had already read up to volume 6 of Something is Killing the Children, so this omnibus starts with volume 6 I believe, so I reread volume 6 in the omnibus and then carried on till what's out now of this series. Obviously absolutely loved it. This series is great if you like any sort of like horror, creepy, weird comics, which I do. That's like my bread and butter in comic form. I don't read much horror or thriller in book form, but it's my favourite when it comes to comics and graphic novels. Obviously this is definitely something that you would enjoy. So this is basically about monsters. They exist. Kids can see it, adults can't see them, but then there's these people that go and kill the monsters. And it's just a really good series. This one we're going more into, I don't want to spoil stuff too much, so Erica Slaughter is our main character. She goes about trying to kill these monsters, and then she's part of the slaughterhouse, which she doesn't necessarily want to be a part of because of the way that they like to wrap stuff up. They don't, like, it's meant to be about helping people, but sometimes it's more about the politics of people shouldn't know about this, so let's just make sure there's nobody left to talk about it, sort of thing. And she's not really into that sort of the side of it, so she kind of goes off on her own sort of way. Even when she's with this house, she sort of moves her own way. And yeah, this goes up to volume 8 I think, which is the one that's out so far. I think it's volume 8. And a bunch of stuff's kicked off, and in fact right at the end of this something's happened and I'm very intrigued to find out what's going to happen next, because something's happened that is very sort of important to being able to see these monsters and know that they exist and fight them. But one of the things that I enjoy about this series as well is the way it's written. It's always like sort of a little bit of a mishmash. So you'll start one volume and it'll be about something that's happened now, and then the next volume might be about her as a teenager, and the next volume might be about like something that happened several years ago. Or so the way it's written is really interesting. You're getting all these different backstories, you're getting these different characters, and also it's just really good. Oh, and also while we're on the topic, I was just really in the mood to draw when I read it, so I did this. So this is Octu. This is Erica's octopus that also has this evil demon creature inside it, which is the creature that killed her family. And now this is like her little talisman sort of token guy. And sometimes he's a little troll. He tells people that they should go places that's going to get them killed. He's a naughty guy, but also I really wanted to draw him. So I use a bunch of different stuff in this. I use yellow ink, and then I use Ecoline markers, Neocolor 2s and paint markers. And it was a fun time. Yeah, it's very, like, visually this series is stunning as well. So I love the artwork, love the storyline, and yeah, can't wait for it to carry on. And that is all the things that I read in March. So yeah, let me know down below anything you read in March. If you've read any of these, what did you think? The comment section's there. Say something if you want, or do an emoji, or whatever you want, or just ignore it. It's up to you. You can subscribe if you want. That's also up to you. Like if you want. Again, it's all on you, baby. And yeah, I'll be back with another video after this. So be there if you want.